Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos may share an impressive $160 million net worth, but that doesn't mean their children are exempt from paying them back when money is loaned. During a recent episode of Live, the couple revealed that their son, Michael, owed them money. The conversation arose as Kelly recalled cleaning out their home's cabinets, drawers, and bookshelves, only to discover an envelope containing $200 in $20 bills from their 28-year-old son. "I guess he owed us money from something," said Kelly. "It did say $200 of $300, so he owes us $100, added Mark. Kelly and Mark tied the knot in 1996, when they eloped in Las Vegas a year after meeting on the set of the soap opera All My Children. They went on to welcome 3 kids, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin. According to Celebrity Net Worth, the Live with Kelly and Mark star is currently worth an estimated $120 million, while her husband Mark is worth $40 million. This makes their household worth a staggering $160 million. The couple have been open about their children's finances, making it clear they have instilled financial independence despite their immense wealth. "I think my kids feel very fortunate in general," Kelly told Amanda Hirsch on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, explaining that they don't have student loans. She continued, "There's a comfort in knowing my kids got to graduate knowing that they weren't having to climb out of a mountain of debt. They are so appreciative and so grateful." While Kelly has been in Hollywood for the entirety of her children's lives, she and Mark tried to keep their lives really normal as they grew up. "I also think we kept their worlds really normal when they were young," Kelly said. "They always, from the earliest ages they could, had part-time jobs, always. And in their friend circle, they were the only ones to have jobs." She added, "I didn't grow up privileged, and neither did Mark. We work, and we expect our kids to as well." When Michael was a student at New York University, Kelly told her Instagram followers that he lived in his first non-parent subsidized apartment with roommates. The 28-year-old currently lives in Brooklyn while working on the production side for Bravo's The Real Housewives of New York and The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and has also worked as a production assistant on the sitcom The Goldbergs. The couple previously revealed that they ended up spending a lot more money on their only daughter compared to her brothers. "I'm going to tell you something right now, and don't tell our sons. But if they had any idea, and they can never know, but if they had any idea how much more money we spent on Lola." The care and feeding of Lola compared to the boys, shared Kelly during an episode of Live. "Joaquin, I was like, here, you can fit into your brother's outfit from 8 years ago. Roll up the bottoms, you'll be fine." She continued, "But Lola, the only girl. If I didn't give it to her, she went to you, Mark. If you didn't give it to her, she would go to one of the grandparents." And they were like, "Of course. She knows how to seal the deal." We used to be amazed at that skill set. They found the envelope in the way most small domestic mysteries are discovered, between a cookbook and a stack of takeout menus, behind a book that had once been useful and now lived only to hold its neighbors upright. Kelly had been in one of those rare, decisive cleaning moods, the kind that arrives after too many months of clutter and too few minutes of patience. It was an ordinary Sunday afternoon at the house they'd shared for decades. Sunlight pooled on the kitchen counters, a mug steamed forgotten, and the radio played a soft, familiar tune in the background. When she pulled the thin manila folder free, the sight of folded bills made her laugh out loud, not with surprise, but with the precise, fond amusement of someone who knows where anyone else's money might hide. $200 of $300. The envelope read in a hurried hand. Inside, 6 crisp 20s were stacked like a small, polite apology. Kelly held the envelope up as if it were an artifact discovered at an archaeological dig. "Well," she told Mark when she found it in a den with a script and a cup of coffee, "either someone is very responsible or someone is very bad at math." Mark, who had a way of assuming the comic timing of a man who'd learned to be on cue his whole life, peered over his glasses and squinted at the writing. "That looks familiar," he said. "Michael's handwriting." They both smiled in that particular parental way. equal parts affection and exasperation. Michael, their eldest and now a man in his late 20s, had been an experiment in parenthood's slow release. From the day he was born, he'd grown into the kind of kid who could be both intensely resourceful and charmingly forgetful. He'd also become the kind of adult who, when he borrowed money, apparently liked to document the debt as if it were homework handed back late. "What did he owe us for?" Kelly asked. They riffed through possible offenses: a broken lamp, a fund for a summer class that had been forgotten, a pizza that had once been particularly expensive. They both laughed when Mark offered rent from 2009, because to them, historical rents sometimes blurred with myth. That brief, silly moment on the den couch turned into a conversation on their show later that week. They told the story on the air with the same warmth and teasing they used privately. Kelly grew theatrical as she described the discovery. Mark offered a mock gasp when he revealed the arithmetic. "So he owes us $100, he announced, as if reading a verdict that came with both surprise and admiration. The audience laughed the way audiences do when given a tangible human story about celebrities. It feels like a secret shared across one long living room. The country knew them as glue, high-energy, quick-witted, the two of them who could make morning TV feel like an extended family brunch. They knew, too, the numbers that floated around in the tabloids, a combined net worth the size of a small nation's GDP line item, a long career on screens that, for better or worse, had paid out in comfort. But money was seldom the point of their lives as they lived them. Instead, it was paper and coins folded into envelopes, occasionally forgotten behind books. It was a revealing tiny thing, a crack in the glittered window through which the public saw their lives. People like to imagine that wealth created a perfect, luminous home where no apology needed to be paid in dollars. The envelope and the story that followed exposed an entirely different truth, that even in houses where fortunes lived behind secure walls, the family economics was often messier, more human, and infinitely more instructive. "You'd think with everything we have, we do everything differently," Kelly told a friend years ago on a podcast, in a conversation that resurfaced now in the wake of the envelope's discovery. "But we work and we expect our kids to as well." They had never been theatrical about privilege. They'd eloped in the blur of 1996, two actors who met on a soap set and decided not to wait for a wedding planner's approval. From elopement to parenthood to hosting a national morning show, their story had always been about momentum. They'd taught their kids that money had utility and that a good life required responsibility, not just receipts. When their children were old enough, part-time jobs were introduced like vitamins, necessary and unremarkable. Michael worked his way through early adulthood with a steady grit that comes from seeing your parents get up before dawn, speak truth into your hairbrush, and then go out to earn a living. And yet they were not ungenerous. In fact, their generosity sometimes arrived at awkwardly practical moments. Kelly remembered the first non-parent subsidized apartment Michael had lived in during his college years in New York. He'd moved into a place with roommates and no parental safety net beyond the occasional grocery run. Kelly took some pride in that. It was exactly what she and Mark had intended, a lesson in independence that also came with a careful safety net, because there are things you can prevent without spoiling the lessons you want your children to learn. "I don't know if it's that we wanted to be tough," Mark said in another interview. "I think we wanted them to understand the dignity of doing your work." Those dual impulses, to protect and to propel, had governed much of the family's approach. Yet the human heart rarely obeys the policy memo. Kelly and Mark admitted more than once, and with a kind of rueful chuckle, that their daughter Lola had been the beneficiary of an invisible tunnels and bridges budget line. Clothes, attention, and small indulgences seemed to funnel her way with alarming frequency. They joked about favoring a daughter who knew how to negotiate. Joaquin, the youngest, had inherited hand-me-downs and rolled-up pant legs. The boys learned to weather thrift with contentment. The family joked, sometimes conspiratorially, that Lola had an innate ability to seal the deal. They'd laugh together, the kind of laugh